Hi, Ann Claire.
Hi, Meg.
How are you today?
Doing okay, thank you. How are you?
Pretty good. Just a little tired. Just a little morning tiredness as usual.
Well, I have the afternoon tiredness.
Oh, do you have that like post-lunch digestion tiredness?
I guess it's a mix of two things, and it's also that I had to go to my pre-op appointment for my gum thing next week, and I think that just got my body like in my head in like a stressed out state this morning, and so it feels like I've like used my batteries already for the day.
Yep.
So, but the good news is this is the last thing on my to-do list today. So
Oh, nice.
I've planned an easy end of the day for myself.
What does an easy end of the day look like for you?
I have some admin bits to do, but like I've got plenty of time so I can procrastinate before I do them. And then just like dinner at home, probably reading a book in my bathtub. I just got 2 new books that I had ordered online just for fun, like crime thriller books. This is the sort of thing that gets my brain very entertained and distracted. And so, that's my kind of night. Chill end of the day, slow, and then letting myself just, crash,
I'm
basically.
luxurious.
Yeah, I mean, it's like simple, but it's effective. So,
Yeah.
and I knew I was going to be stressed out and probably tired after all of the not so fun stuff to do earlier today. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be kind to myself and take that into consideration when I plan my day. So, yeah.
Bathtub with a book sounds really nice.
It is. I highly recommend.
I rarely do that because I rarely take baths. Like never. I never take baths.
Why not?
I think it's because I'm really tall, so I feel like I don't really fit into bathtubs.
Well, you don't have to be fully covered and underwater. The point is for your head to be above the water and your arms to hold the book.
They're not very comfortable either. Like if the bathtub felt like a couch, I would sit in it, but they're like bone hard and I don't know.
I feel like, maybe it's the kind of bath, right? That matters too. Okay.
Yeah.
My bath has one side that is like the perfect slopiness. It's not a word, but you know what I mean? Like it's like a nice little slope. And you can add a little towel for behind your head if you want to like really be completely down. And it's pretty, I mean, granted, I'm not very tall, so I fit in it comfortably.
I don't fit in your bathtubs. I feel like
I'm sure you would, because I have a tall friend who used my bathtub and she had a really good time. So I think you may need an upgrade to fully enjoy it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Fun times. Do you know what I have used though? Like what's really relaxing for showers? Shower steamers. Have you ever used those little, they're like bath bombs, but they're for showers.
Huh.
So
you'll never
on the floor of the shower and they're kind of semi in the water and semi dry, right? And then they steam and then your shower smells like lavender or something like that.
Well,
Too.
No, I've never done that. But yeah, I'm a bath girl. So I like to make a bath, get in it, feel like I'm the chicken in the chicken soup, and get really, really warm, like bone warm. When we were in Portugal and it was 1,000,000,000 degrees outside in the best of ways, and then you're outside and you feel that your bones are warm. And it's not just that you're not cold, it's that you're toasty. I love that. And I cannot have this anymore because it's not summertime anymore. And so the bath fulfills that function.
I love that. It is the first day of fall today.
It is. Happy fall.
Happy fall.
So that's that. Well,
Very nice. Very nice. Already on tangent. We do talk about recovery on the show, I promise.
well, here's the thing. Here's the link. This is why we needed to talk about baths and fall, is because we're talking about how to not let go. this is me trying to link it to the question of the day.
I like that.
Because the question we received was, what do you do when you really just feel like quitting? And I'm guessing quitting recovery, right? So like how to stay motivated, hopeful, and committed to the process.
Yeah. I mean, the first distinction that took me a long time to grasp in life, so not in recovery, but in life, which is taking breaks. So when you get exhausted, feeling burnt out, feeling like you hate this situation and you don't want to do it anymore, instead of quitting, it's much better to take a break. And there's a big difference there because the mentality of taking a break is I'm not letting go here. I'm not taking a break. I mean, I'm not stopping recovery. I am resting. And I will continue when I have the fuel and the energy and the power charge to keep moving forward. So that's my number one tip, is really make sure you rest and take a break. And that's not the same as letting yourself relapse.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Because, oh my God, I mean, recovery is hard, right? I do want to say that. Like, it's hard. It's freaking tiring to do recovery. It's like, yes, your eating disorder is tiring. Yes, it uses up your energy, but oh my God, recovery does that too. And sometimes often it's actually harder to do the recovery thing, right? Because the eating disorder thing might be like the thing that is so automatic and natural and easy in the short term. So I just want to say, like, if you feel like tired or if you're thinking, I must be doing this wrong because it feels so darn hard, you're not. I remember those days. And I mean, I was tired. I'm also really good at burning myself out. So I have had to learn that resting is a key part of the process. And this is the thing where if you're already burning out and feeling like quitting, please pause and rest. Don't let yourself just like fall completely backwards, but take the lesson for when you go back to challenging more. And the lesson being integrate rest in your goals and in the way you approach things in recovery and life. Because yes, rest is great, but we're not only supposed to rest when we can't go anymore.
Yes.
That's what I do still sometimes, and it's not good.
Well, that's a really good step for everyone. So obviously, a big answer for this question is you need to rest, but not just when you feel extremely drained and exhausted. You need to integrate it throughout your entire day-to-day experience, and even resting on the days you feel good. Basically, rest every day. That's the key. And that's how you constantly restore your batteries in a way.
Yeah, I love that. Like resting during the process of doing can also look like maybe being more compassionate with the goals you're setting for yourself.
Yes.
Like it's not only about I'm doing hard and then I'm resting hard. It's maybe I'm doing less hard so that it's easier on me and I might not need the same, like 0 or 100. I can actually do maybe 50. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like for so long, I was in the culture of like, work hard, play hard. And then, well, first of all, when do you rest? Because it's like work, play, and then it's like, where's the rest? But it's actually, I'm like, well, how about you do work medium, play medium, rest medium instead, like that sounds quite nice to me.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be so intense. So I love that. And I think in recovery, that could look like maybe there's a week you feel like you're really exhausted and you need to rest, right? So in recovery, that could look like committing to your meal plan, but maybe not necessarily doing any huge food challenges or spontaneity challenges or social challenges or whatever you're focusing on with your teen, just keeping yourself, well nourished. And that's committing to not falling backwards, right?
Yeah, I love that. It's like keep the regularity and the adequacy, because we know that R and A from raves are like the top two most important units. And like, don't add the extra challenges. Give yourself a break from doing more. It doesn't mean do less. It doesn't mean reach out for all the behaviors. It means be gentle and consider the fact that you are tired. Please work on patience. I say that as a highly impatient human, but I'm more patient than I used to be, believe it or not. And this whole like resting and being okay with setting goals that are maybe more compassionate, I feel like goes hand in hand with the concept of patience and of being like, things take time. And it's not because I don't see the result now that they're not worth it. And I'll continue. And because I need to continue and do this for probably a long time, right? Recovery is a bunch of small steps repeated again and again and again and again. I have to sort of, accept that this is also a thing of practicing being patient and still showing up to do the things.
Yeah, that is so true. I think patience is key in recovery. And when you don't have patience, you're so much harder on yourself. So that compassionate voice just leaves the building.
Let's be real. Not being patient sounds like, oh my God, I should be doing better. I'm such an and like it's like insult and it's judgment and it's bullying yourself. And like, how's that helpful?
It's not helpful at all. And what it does is it takes up emotional energy, which further exhausts you. And you're just beating yourself up the whole time, which will make you want to quit. And you're gonna feel like a failure because you're holding yourself up to these standards that you're not meeting. And maybe if you just lower the bar a little bit and be patient and say, I'm going to get there eventually, but let me take this smaller step first. That's how it works. And I've had to learn that in life. Like, I think setting goals for myself, I kind of extend the expectation as far as like how long that's going to take. I expect things to be delayed sometimes. I find in recovery that there's so many folks who just run from one extreme to the next. So like they're full force focusing on recovery, and then the rug gets swept out from under them. Like something happens, like they get COVID or they, have some terrible work day or something. And then they just swing back into full-blown eating disorder. And I think part of not burning out is eliminating that extreme pattern of one extreme to the next.
And when it happens, because it will happen that things get harder than expected, take the lessons instead of taking the judgment. This is a hard one. And this is one that's hard as a human because we want it for the right reasons. But when the pendulum swings, or when someone comes and, pulls that rug from under your feet, yes, like name the thing. Yes, honor the fact that it's maybe unfair and annoying and frustrating. But then don't get stuck there and then be like, well, then, I'm done. Because that's how you get stuck, in that other end of the pendulum swing. Allow yourself for that to be the case and for that to maybe be part of your journey in order to be able to move forward again.
Yeah, I agree. I think when that happens, it's so important for you to respond, not react. So when the rug gets swept out from under you and it feels like the sky is falling, you feel like Chicken Little. This is the chicken episode. The sky is falling. We went from sharks to chickens. You must respond. And by that, I mean, I find it's very easy to react. And reacting is falling back into your old comforting eating disorder behaviors, not feeling your emotions, avoiding pain, whatever you do in your eating disorder. That's the reaction. That's the knee jerk reaction that most people who are struggling might find themselves if they're stuck in that cycle, right? But when you respond, it looks like, oh, I'm aware that I'm in my cycle. And if I react the way I usually do, I might end back in the pendulum swing. So I'm going to pause, take a deep breath, and respond differently. And that might be this week, I'm going to eat mostly safe foods and not really venture out into things that might throw off my recovery, right? Maybe challenging myself is a little too hard. I'm going to stick to having enough food regularly, like regular RA and raves. And then once I'm feeling strong enough, I will get back to challenging myself.
Yeah. And I really want to encourage anyone who feels in this spot or who feels that maybe they get really close to that spot regularly to bring that up, because that's our job as humans on your treatment team, and us as in everyone, not just the coaches, dietitians, the therapists, to actually explore those moments with you and to help you out in terms of knowing how you could change the goals and the assignments that you have on your goal sheet for that week. And we can help you navigate what self-care looks like, what resting looks like, and how we can include that in your goals, because that's often really helpful, is to say, well, wowza, like I'm really close to being, at the tipping point where I want to quit. So maybe we can include in the goals for next week those moments where you get to rest and you get to recharge those batteries that you feel are really low. And that can look like so many different things. It can look like, the regular self-care, like Netflix, chill, baths. But it can also be, let's track the wins so far. Let me remind myself of why I'm doing this. Those can be the things that you focus on instead of challenging extra stuff like the food side of things or, the movement side of things. Maybe the goals that take a bit more of your time are the ones that are going to help get you out of that state. And we have those tools at our disposal and we can bring them up for you. And we always want to meet our clients where they're at, right? They need to let us know where they're at. Because sometimes we can guess, sometimes we can see, and we can sort of be like, what's going on? But we can't mind read. And so if someone feels like they're there, bring it up. The people on your treatment team are trained to help you deal with being there. And they all have suggestions. I'm 100% sure of that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really helpful advice. I think reaching out is huge. So if you're feeling that way and you do have a coach or someone on your team who you could reach out the moment you start feeling like you're falling back into that pendulum swing or you're overexhausted, because you have people who will outline what self-care could look like for you. And it's actually funny. There's a life coach out there who actually suggests, she's kind of like a life coach, business coach. And she suggests, and I'm wondering what you think about this. I think we could find something in the middle here, but she suggests when you're planning your workday or your week, plan your rest first. So she says when you sit down to plan, say Monday morning, you actually schedule in your rest before you schedule in everything else. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, very practically speaking, that's not going to work for me. Like I have my sessions, these calls, like workshops and stuff, they're already in my schedule. But I 100% agree that I have slots in my calendar that are like repeat, sections every week. And they are go out, go and move, breathe some air, go see the little ducks at the park. It's like, spend some time on your own. Like my entire Saturday morning is like self and soul care. Because if I don't write that down, yes, I might actually plan something else instead. And so that allows me to have that in my calendar already 6 weeks from now. So if I'm planning workshops or sections, it's already there. And I know that if something comes in it, I have to slide it up or down, but I can't cancel it.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I sort of do it, but also not. And it's not slots every day because I can't, I don't know, that just doesn't fit my way of approaching my schedule. But yes, it is a priority. And for the spirit of that, I love. It is a priority.
I love the spirit of it. I love the idea that like rest is worthy enough to schedule it first. Like I think that
you do that?
I do not, but I'm very good at keeping a balance. I find once I'm resting, I am relaxed. But what I've been getting in the habit of is finding that sprinkling in like 10 minutes here, 25 minutes here of rest throughout my day, like on a very busy work day, really helps charge. And so this is a practice for me of what I like to call knowing myself. And I'm getting to a point, I've had a few clients get in the habit of booking later calls on my calendar. And so I'm kind of used to these days that feel a little extended because I have this later slot being filled. And so I'm knowing myself, I'm recognizing I need to break the day up and take either like a mini siesta or go outside for like a little walk with my mom or something to make me fully refreshed for the end of the day. And so I'm learning like it's the process for everyone, I think. I don't schedule rest first is what I'm saying. I should try it though. It sounds really great.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm already proud of myself for scheduling those little slots in my schedule as is. So
yeah,
this was my decision from a few months back to be like, I really need to do that because I keep postponing on being like, oh, it's fine, later, and then never doing it and feeling like, this is not going great. But like you said, knowing yourself and knowing your red flags, your own red flags. Yeah. I know my red flags. I know when I get close to wanting to quit everything. And it's on me to notice them. And it's on me to respond and make sure that I adapt things before I get at, the extreme of the pendulum swing. Basically, to use that image that you introduced earlier, I'm like, okay, this is the scope that I'm comfortable with. But if I feel that I'm starting to swing, a bit too high up, I'm like, okay, I know I'm there. And I know that this means I need to act and change something up, or else I will end up here. And the only way to go once you're here is completely on the other side. And I've done that several times, whether that's recovery or life. And it's never fun. It does not do you good. So, but it's on us. You have to know yourself at some point. Of course, in your recovery, please use your treatment team to help you out. But that really builds self-knowledge and self-understanding that is helpful beyond recovery, honestly.
Yeah. You have to be realistic with what you decide you're doing and when you're resting. And I think that's one thing that takes time is the concept of knowing yourself is being like, okay, like for instance, you want to be the person who sets your alarm at 5 a.m. every morning. But if you know yourself really well, maybe you could do 7 a.m. and that'd still be progress.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
like knowing yourself, like don't hold yourself to the standards that you're hearing everyone else set their standards to. You have to know what's going to feel right for you so that you don't burn yourself out or overkill it.
Yeah, I feel like generally speaking, if I had to like some sort of like what we set up, I would say as a general approach with your goals and with what you do in recovery, make sure that you are already considering small steps, self-compassion, patience, rest, but that you also allow, as part of that rest, to do things that help you increase that motivation and that willingness to show up on an everyday basis. And that can mean tracking your wins, reconnecting to why you want this recovery thing. If you have done the assignment called My Worst Eating Disorder Day, read that again. Remind yourself of why you don't want to go back. Plan some self-care and reach out to the people who are around you, people on your treatment team. They can help you out. And quitting, as much as I understand the spirit and the feeling and the wanting to do it, the price is steep. I feel like every time in recovery that I was like, F it, I'm done. It's really a blow versus pausing and resting and then starting up again has felt so much easier. It's like, when you're driving a car and the rest or the pause is, I'm going to stay in cruise control. I'm going to stay at this speed. I'm just not going to accelerate more. But elapsing or quitting is, I'm going to stop the car. And then when you have to restart the car, it takes a whole lot more energy to get it restarted. You're using a whole lot more fuel or energy, to get it restarted.
Yes.
That's the exact same thing that's going to happen. And you might, in the process, I don't know, burn your tires because you stopped too harsh, got in a car crash because someone rear-ended you on the motorway because you suddenly stopped. I mean, this is an image, but this is why stopping suddenly can really cost you a lot of energy and can make it really hard to then start again. Whereas going in cruise control and being like, let's make my life a bit easier right now as I reload my batteries to be able to continue accelerating makes a whole lot more sense.
I love that analogy. I think that's amazing because I think there's something to be said about taking that harsh full stop and having it be harder to start up again.
Mm-hmm.
You get swept back into your eating disorder, your inner critic, your inner voice is probably all defeatist, like, oh, you relapsed again. You're never going to get out of it. It makes things even harder to overcome once you've done the hard stop. So yeah, I love the cruise control comparison there. And that's what you need to do, everyone. Do not pump the brakes. Just get to cruise control and relax. I think that's good. Anything you want to add there, Claire?
No, I feel like that's really all. And I do want to encourage people to really not only incorporate self-care and rest and all that as part of their recovery goals on a regular basis, but to also embrace those maintenance phases, those phases where you sort of take stock of where you're at and all the stuff that you've done that can really make the biggest difference. And I don't think I've ever seen someone go through recovery all at once without one of those.
Yeah.
So it is completely normal, you need those moments to make sure that you get all the way to the end. So please know it's not something that's wrong with you. It's part of the actual journey to get to somewhere nicer. So,
yeah. Wonderful words of wisdom there, Claire.
Thank you. Do you have something else that you wanted to add?
I think I'm good besides just reiterating, definitely celebrate your wins and honor yourself and acknowledging how far you have come. Because I think I find this a lot. I feel like recovery, the process of recovering can feel like a time warp and like a black hole. You're just kind of in it and you're like, I don't even know if I'm making progress. I'm not getting anywhere. And then you just feel like you're underwater and then you come up for air 6 months later and you look back and you're doing things that you would have never dreamed of, right? Mm-hmm. Or you accomplish things or you're so much further along than you've ever been before. And you can't really always feel and notice that progress in the moment. Sometimes it takes time to look back and reflect how far you've come. And that's also something to keep in mind. Like, that's why it's important to track the small wins or take moments to acknowledge that you are doing the things. And if you need help, reach out to your coach and say, hey, like, let's talk about how far I've come today. Like, what do you remember about how I started and where I am now? And I'm sure your coach or whoever's on your team would love to engage in that conversation with you because it's so important to just acknowledge.
I love that.
Yay. Well, I think we can wrap this one up.
Anyone watching, please comment below, letting us know if you have any extra ideas and extra tips for the lovely human who submitted that question. We would love to be able to complement this with extra little notes from you humans. And if you're watching this, please share around you on social media and tag us so that we can reshare. We love to see your reactions to our episodes. It's been so lovely so far to receive your feedbacks. And yeah, thank you for being here and for watching.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.